Hello, on behalf of the Mindalia TV team, welcome to Mindalia live streaming, where thousands of people around the world gather daily to see the lectures and interviews organized by Mindalia TV. Today we have the great pleasure of being joined again by our very dear Sunny Chase. Sunny is not only the host of this show, but the host of ABC Solutionary Sundays. She is the chief strategist for Whole Lifetimes magazine, the longest running conscious magazine in America. Sunny is a producer, a moderator, a musician, and a mythbuster, among many other talents, and she is going to be having a very interesting conversation with Keith Leon. I'm not going to delay this any further, and I have the great pleasure of introducing and leaving the screen to Sunny and to Keith. Guys, welcome to Mindalia. How are you doing today?
Well, Myrna, but you're chatting with me, aren't you?
Yes, I'm going to be chatting very briefly with you.
Thank you. Well, I wanted to chat with you before we start the bringing on Keith to kind of talk a little bit about the fact that it's Halloween today, as you see with my witch costume, and talking a little bit about the meaning in Latin America about Halloween and All Saints Day. So, can you tell us a little bit? Fill us in, girl.
Yes, of course. Well, what I can tell you is what I know, and normally these costumes are not only, we can't know for sure if it is what it is, but as far as I understand, it's based in like cultural syncretism, which is just two cultures merging, and normally the cultures are based on our ancestors, on the field, on the farmers. So basically, in this time of the year, we are closing the warm months. We are going from summer into fall, and we are going to be seeing months of darkness in which the skies are not going to be light with, the sun. It's a little bit darker, and people, go to bed earlier. So we, in a way, make a relationship between that and the death, and between the sun and the life. So it's this point in which the sun, the life, and the death, which is the night, come together. So in the
Beautiful.
Anglo cultures, we celebrate it as Halloween, Hallows Eve, the night in which the death come, and pretty similar, just 24 hours after, in the Spanish culture, we celebrate Dia de los Muertos, which is the Day of the Dead, in which also people, well, in Latin America, we make it more oriented towards the family. We revisit our family or our, loved ones who has transcended to another dimension, to the death. They come back to gather once again with the people that they still love that are in this plane. And of course, it's not a secret that in the Anglo culture, we go more towards the costume, towards honoring in a very different way death. We are okay with death. We accept in a way death, right?
Well, and thank you for that. And like you know, the movie Coco came out a couple years ago. And it really, really shifted my life in a lot of ways because when I saw that movie, one thing that it did was I hadn't been playing guitar or singing in a bit. And it actually got me to start playing again. And I actually bought a guitar. I had donated all my guitars. And I thought my singing time was over. And when I saw that movie, what I realized for myself was I was kind of challenged in my life with, okay, am I still performing? Am I still doing that sort of thing? Or am I, what kind of guitar to get? Is it an onstage guitar? Is it acoustic? Is it electric? Is it a plug-in? I had so much kind of confusion. And then when I saw that movie, I thought, no, son, it's just for me. It's just playing for my heart. The guitar is right here at our heart, and it's just for me to do it for myself. And so it just allowed me to let go of all of that and just get back into it. And then also, the movie was so much about knowing, or the message is that with our loved ones, with people who've passed away, that their life continues as long as we remember them. Recuérdame. And so I thought, that just shifted me so much in my connection with my mom who passed away, with my dad who passed away, to really honor them, especially my mom, because my mom died when I was 10. And we just love our mom, but it's just sort of like we got a stepmom and we really honored her, and we felt it would hurt her feelings if we talked about her mom. And she always thought it was so strange that we didn't talk about her mom. And so I realized, what is that with me? And so I really went to Ireland, where my mom's from, and just activated all of that. So that movie just shifted my life so much. And today that it's Halloween, we have the honor, and it's just so cool that we have Keith Leon S. here today, who wrote a book called Walking with My Angels. And I chatted with him, and I thought, I would start the show with a little song to kind of bring us into the idea. So I'm going to sing a little bit. It's pretty smoky out here because of all the fires. So I'll just try this a little bit for you guys. Remember me, though I have to say goodbye. Remember me, don't let it make you cry. Forever, if I'm far away, I hold you in my heart. I sing a secret song to you each night we are apart. Remember me, though I have to travel far. Remember me, each time you hear a sad guitar. Know that I'm with you the only way that I can be, until you're in my arms again. Recuérdame, remember me. I love that song. Just always makes me cry.
It's
So
actually thank you for sharing that with us. But it is actually, you tell me, and you have told me a couple of times that for a time you didn't have the guitar, you were not singing, but I met you after you took that again with you, and it's super hard for me to imagine a Sunny that is not filled with music. I'm s- I don't even want to imagine a Sunny without music. It's to me it comes together, Sunny and music. So I'm happy that
thank
you're there
you.
again.
Oh, thank you. That means the world to me because, again, with that, it's so, music in so many cultures is just like, in your culture, like you say, your dad would just pick up the guitar and sing. Or I was listening to an interview with Paul McCartney he was doing with Stephen Colbert, which was so touching. And they both talked about losing a parent at a really young age. Paul McCartney lost his mom either 14 or 16, and John Lennon 14 or 16. I can't remember which one was which, but he was talking about that, and he was talking about how his dad was a great pianist, played all the tunes from like the 20s and 30s, all the standards, and like that sunny side of the street and whatever. And all the neighbors would come over and sing. All the little old ladies, Paul said, in the neighborhood would come over and sing. And then his dad started getting arthritis and stuff and couldn't play as well. So young Paul had to step in out of necessity because the little old ladies wanted to keep singing, and it was like, okay, what do we do? So that, and he even feels like Stephen Colbert asked him, and Paul had never thought about it in all these years. He said, the song Yesterday that you wrote, does that have to do with your mom? And it just, like, it gets me to even say it. But Paul said, I never really thought of that, but I think so. Yesterday, all my troubles seemed so far away. I mean, now it looks as though they're here to stay. So, just the aspect of music is so important in our lives, and again, in the culture of just doing it in our families. And it's just thank you, Coco, for allowing me to kind of move through the ego aspect of music and back to the heart of what it is and community. So with that, I want to talk a little bit about Keith, but you know what? I think let's just bring him on, shall we? And then I'll just brag about him while he's on the camera. Good morning, Keith Leon S. How are you?
Good morning. I am doing well. It's a beautiful day.
Great. Well, I'll give you a little introduction as we go along, but I just love for you to just kind of jump in, and I'm sure you have a lot of thoughts about what we've just been chatting about and singing about.
Yeah. So for those of you who are with us today, I will talk about this, I'm sure, coming up, but I had an experience with an earthbound angel that came to me. And one of the things that this earthbound angel taught me and shared with me is something that you were just talking about. When I was talking about losing people who had passed over, right? And I felt like that was a loss. I used that word, lost them. And he wanted to assure me and to let me know that on the spirit side, the etheric side, when everything goes back to where it came from, energy, whatever you want to call it, that there is no time and space, there is no forward and backward. There is no time and space. Therefore, he said, our ancestors can be with our family in heaven, but can also be right by our side at the same exact time. And all we need to do is ask and speak their name, and they are right there with us. And they don't always have the ability to move something or communicate in a way that we can hear them unless we're really doing the tools and are open to that, but know that they are with you when you call their name. And that was very, very reassuring to me, because I was feeling a loss of all those people. So to know I could just speak their name and they're right there with me, it's just a beautiful, beautiful lesson that he taught me. And so that's what came up for me when you were talking about this. And then also the Day of the Dead, the starting of the rebirthing process, right? Dark night of the soul, right? I've heard all these different words. I love that, because even no matter how dark it gets, my wife calls it the breakdown before the breakthrough. So even when it's at the darkest point, that's when you know that you're just about to break through into something magnificent. And so if we can learn to embrace the darkness and embrace when it starts to look not so great and not so well, just say, I know something really great is coming very, very soon. And that'll help us accept those dark times a little more.
Well, yeah, and I think what I appreciate so much, and we don't have as much of it in California, but the real, when I lived in Santa Fe, it was very, had a lot of Latin and Mexican influence, of course. And so the luminarias and just all the feeling of Halloween and All Saints Day was so powerful. It's a really big holiday, actually. And the changes that we go through, it's so wonderful to have that feeling of the dark that goes to the light, the very, very cold that goes to the heat. I mean, contrast. And that's one thing that we do create in our lives a lot, is contrast. And sometimes, like you say, with the dark night of the soul, we may not like that contrast so much, but again, the contrast that we see around us, the contrast that we perhaps create in our own lives. And, some people may call it chaos or pain or crazy town or whatever. But it creates that opportunity, of course, to know what we don't want, or to maybe crack through, to say, okay, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take this anymore. Like, for myself, like, what the belief? I mean, really? So I think that kind of seasonal change that happens allows us to have internal seasonal change, don't you think?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and so it brings us to, this is what we're on this earth to do. And I know that you have a lot of messages from the angels, but I think that You know, the in the spiritual community or the New Thought community, whatever, it's like, what is the point of life? What are we really doing here? What do we want? What is our mission? What is our purpose? What is our goal? What's it all about, Alfie? Think that, of course, the angels help you with a lot of messages. And I think, in this time when we see so much pain and anguish around us, it feels like LA is just, literally up in flames, because it is. It's just, I mean, I feel it in my throat so much, even where I am. And so what does that mean? What does that mean for our life? It does, I feel, mean something is shifting, something is changing, something without us and within us is calling us for something greater, bigger, different, whatever. So I'd love for you, Keith, to speak to that if you like.
Well, that's when you know that you're really tapped into your purpose, is when you feel that calling to make a difference in people's lives, when you feel that calling to do something great and special. That's, I think, when you're tapping into why you're here, because I believe that we were just all experiencing this beautiful light, and we were in this spirit world, and we just did that for millions and millions and millions of years, and we just got bored, and we were like, well, I want to come into this split into million pieces and billions of pieces and pretend like I'm these different people, and then spend all that time trying to remember where I came from. And I believe that we wanted to feel what it's like to love and be loved inside of a body, like to love and be loved. And I think that's why we're here. And love and be loved. Everything, all the other qualities, all the other words that we can use, I think always that's what's underneath it. Love and be loved. So
all roads lead.
Yeah. And as much as like the media would like to say that, everything is against us, I've experienced quite the opposite. Anytime anybody is in true need, like needs help, strangers will step up. They will step up for you. They will protect you. If there's a car accident, you notice there's always somebody there. One's on the phone, one's consoling the person, one is like checking out the car, making sure it's not going to blow up. Like people just come out of nowhere and step right into action. So that's our innate wanting to be of service, to love one another, to be there for each other. And
be angels for each other.
Yes. The angels.
There was a thing that I saw the other day on TV. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I mean, to your point, I've seen a lot of things, with people helping other people, getting horses into these carriers to get them out because they're so spooked because of the fire. So many people coming together. But I saw something the other day, and I thought, oh my gosh, I want to ask Keith about this on the show. There was a mom and a dad, we think, with a baby stroller, which I've always wondered, even when I was a mom with baby strollers, that we push the baby stroller that nobody can see in front of us. It's like the most unsafe thing, really. But this mom and dad with a baby in a baby stroller were crossing the street. A car, this all happened in less than a second. A car was coming and was just about to hit them. I mean, killed, like just smacked. It was going very fast, and then another car came from another direction and popped it out of the way of the people, these pedestrians. And I thought, if that's not angelic work, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
So that segues me into your book and into you.
That's guardian angel interference. It's like we all have at least one guardian angel, and they have only two jobs. One, love us unconditionally, and two is get us to our predetermined expiration date. So it was not the time for that baby or the parents to leave the planet, and so therefore they stepped in and made a miracle happen, and that happens all the time, right? And so that's guardian angel's job, only those two things. If we want anything else, to experience the presence of our guardian angel, to know them, to hear their voice, to show up, to see all the ways that they're showing up for us every day, then we must ask. Because we have this thing called free will, they can't really do anything other than those two things unless we make an invitation. We invite them. Dear guardian angel, I would love for you to show yourself to me in whatever ways you want. And I want you to know I'm open to that. I'm open to hearing you. I'm open to seeing you. I'm open to asking a question and receiving the answer in the words of a song, the very next song I hear, or somebody comes up and answers the question and I don't even know them. However it is, let's have fun with this. But I would love for you to show yourself to me and be even more present in my life. That's
Well, what
yeah,
I was going to say to that is, I so appreciate you saying that, because in a religious thought or a religious way or a spiritual way or any of that, I think the reason that for many hundreds and thousands of years, actually, people have anthropomorphized God, because honestly, and I can say for myself, it's very hard when I'm going through something to pray to this idea that God is everywhere. So it's in every leaf, it's in every cell, it's in every drop of rain, it's in, the energy of God is in all of that. It's
yeah,
like impossible for me to say, energy and drop of rain, help my heart. Like it's just too big a stretch for me.
mm,
So I can understand, as I say, why people have really put God into a man body, an anthropomorphized body, or energy, where it's even like, what are we doing with, giving kind of God the idea of jealousy, or, love like we love, our little love that we are able to do here on the earth. And so for me, angels are where it's at. Like I can, I can feel, it's like they're stepping stones.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and it's all the same thing. It's just what's the easiest way
Right.
for us? The easiest way for us to connect to the source that is everything, to the part of us that knows the answer to every question already before we ask that question. Yeah, and so it's baby steps, right? So you believe in angels, so you will have manifestation of angels. You'll see the way that they show up. If you're not there yet, and you're like, I haven't even seen how angels show up for me, then that's the evocation that I shared with you, if you're ready for that. And it is really just baby steps, and doing this work, especially with angels, and tuning into where you start to receive the answers to every question that you asked, is and I'll date myself now, is here's how I can talk about that. Is back in the day when I was a kid, and I wanted to tune in a radio station, I had to go to this big giant box that had numbers on it, and then there was this big giant dial, and I had to spin the dial and left and right and left and right, and there was all this static, and then you'd hear music, and so you had to tune it, and then finally the station would come in, and once it came in, you'd step back and be like, do not touch that dial no matter what you do. That's my favorite station. And once you got it, it sounded crystal clear. It sounded perfect. And so this is what that work is like, what you're talking about, right? When you reel it back to something that you can believe. And so you start and you ask for little manifestations, for little things, right? Oh, I love to manifest a cup of coffee today. Sometimes that's what it starts for people. And then expand your mind. Greater and greater are the things that you would like to manifest. And each time it gets a little bigger. And the next thing you know, you're like me, you're having a book project where you say that first book project completely failed. I want to make a difference with the world with this book, Who Do You Think You Are, which is the second book I wrote. I want to make a difference in the world. How do I do that? And then I put aside my ideas of how I thought that should go. And every day I just sat and said, what is my next step? And then I didn't move until I got an answer. I was doing what I teach, which is sit, ask, and listen. A lot of us are sitting, praying, meditating. We're asking questions all the time. But when do we sit long enough to receive the answer? When do we stay focused long enough to actually hear the answer before we jump on to the next thing? So I did a whole project doing that, and ended up with a huge international bestseller. Oprah held up that book, held up Eckhart Tolle's book about life purpose, which my book was about life purpose. 2 weeks before my book came out, Oprah held up his book and made it the topic of the world. so that when my book came out and I had 10 people from The Secret, all these famous people, Jack Canfield did the foreword, Chicken Soup for the Soul guy, that my launch and what all those teachers had taught me got my book right underneath his. And it stayed there for a very long time because of the algorithm on Amazon. If you like that book, you'll love this book. $10 more, you get free shipping. So everybody was like, add to cart, add to cart. And it was like right there underneath Eckhart Tolle. And everyone's like, oh, that stinks. I can't believe it, man. She made someone else #1. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm so happy with #2 right now. I'm so happy with that. Look who I'm sitting underneath, right?
Yeah. And no doubt that energy brought you up. It's not as though, and it's also not a competition, people.
Yeah.
We're not competing. We're just all part of the same story, and it makes sense, I really, really love that you're talking about this idea also of meditating and bringing in the angels. And I was, holding up your book, but I just want to show you guys the cover. Because I was at Agape International Spiritual Center a couple of weeks ago when Kyle Cease was there, that really phenomenal. And he's been on my show a couple times, so you guys probably know him, with me, if you don't know him in as many other ways. And he's a comedian. He's an award-winning comedian and super hysterical. And he, like you, Keith, was talking about, so it came to me a second time, about meditating and about staying quiet until you hear the answer. And if one has a question, which of course we all have a lot of questions, but if we can, sometimes we just kind of stumble through life. We don't specifically formulate a question, a solid question that we can formulate. We just have like question life and just, muddle through. But when I was at your book, one of your book events a couple of weeks ago, and you were talking about one time, I don't know if you're on a retreat or you're just in your home or what, but you just sort of had a big question. You didn't even mention what the question is, and you stayed with it for like a long time, I think you said, 2 weeks. I mean, that was mind-boggling to me. And also really, really cool. And really, really inspiring to me because I don't do that. I do walking meditations. I do meditations when I'm in yoga. I do, and I used to be a clothes designer and did movies and stuff. And I'd have a question about how to finish a sleeve or something. And I'd go to a yoga class. And by the end of the yoga class, it would come to me what exactly I was to do. So this concept of the silence, I can't, I'm not so good at it. It's not but I want to be, Keith. I want to be good at it.
Yeah. Well, I had not been great at it either. And that was the project that I was talking about, the Who Do You Think You Are book project. So it really was, the question was, how can I invite all these really famous people to be in a book with me? And none of them knew who I was yet. How could I even do that? And so it was like, here's what I would love. And then what is my next step? And then I did sit for 2 weeks waiting for that answer. And the only time I got up was to go to the bathroom or eat. That was it. And that's where I really developed the practice you're talking about when I got good at it, because in that 2 weeks, not only did I get the answer 2 weeks later, but in between, in that 2 weeks, I got a lot of other answers too. And they weren't the one I was looking for, those answers always drop in the space between two breaths. So
did you have a pad of paper with you as things dropped in to jot down?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I did. And then when I got the answer to that question, it was a game changer, like forever, because I downloaded a process that I did not know that I call right asking. There's a way to ask famous people to do a project with you that makes it so easy to say yes that they will. And until then, I had been told no by all the greatest people in the world because I didn't know how to ask. I was asking in a way that made it hard, and I was coming from a place feeling that I needed them to help me. I needed them to lift me up. So therefore, I was needy, right? And let me ask you, if you're around somebody who's needy, what do you want to do? You want to get away from them as quickly as you can. And that's what they did. They wanted to get away from me as quickly as they could, until I downloaded this process from source, God, spirit, angels, universe, whatever you like to call it. And that's one thing I'd like to say. I call them angels because I've had direct experience with angels, but you may call the very same thing intuition. You may call it inner knowing, inner guidance, source, God, spirit. I like to say it doesn't care what you call it as long as you call it. And that's what we're talking about. That's what prayer, meditation, active listening, or sit, ask, listen, the way that I like to say it, that listening part is the most important part. And I feel the part that a lot of us kind of drop the ball, right? We're like, I want the answers from the universe, but I'm not willing to sit long enough to receive it. And so what if you do have to get up and go out throughout your day, right? You have to go to work. You got to go somewhere. And you just ask the question. Take the question with you. While you're in the car, keep asking the question. You may be in the car, ask the question, and the very next song, the lyrics of the song give you the answer to the question. As you go through your day and you're working, keep spinning the question in your head, listening for the answer. And when you get into that kind of practice, I call it a walking meditation. You take your question out into the world, even because you don't have time to sit for 2 weeks like I did, right? Take that out into the world, and now you're going to start to see how your angels are showing up for you everywhere you go, every day,
Well,
in so many different ways.
so beautiful. A couple things come to mind when you're saying that. In the practice of, I mean, you're sort of a master at this. You're a sage at this, and many of us out here are seekers, you know. And when you're saying that, I'm thinking of a couple different things, which are, again, the silence is awesome, and I think I remember at different times in my spiritual practice in my life, because I've been practicing since I was a little kid, I've come across different people and I would say, well, do we really have to sit on the pillow and do the meditation? You know, can we just, not? And they would say, yeah. I mean, meaning like at least for a period of time each day, yes. The answer to the question is yes. You know, just, and then the walking meditations, the doing the dishes meditations, the whatever meditations are for sure, you know, a plus to that.
Yeah.
But, you know, so the masters who I've talked to have really said that. So I say to you guys out there who resist it, like I have off and on my whole life, yeah, this is where it's at. The second thing that came to my mind when you were chatting is that it is like a muscle that you use when you're working out or something. You know, the more you do it, the easier it gets. And also the gratitude. So what I notice in my life is when certainly haven't had the experiences you've had, Keith, but I've had moments where I'm really aware an angel is there for me. Like when I get in the car in LA to drive, it's really, we're taking our lives in our hands here. It's unfortunate. But I used to live in San Francisco area, and when I moved back here, it was like, whoa, this is dangerous here. And there's a lot of chaotic energy that, you know, people are just, you know, it's hard living here. People are just trying to get where they're going. They don't mean to be, you know, thoughtless or in their head and crash into people. But I've seen so many accidents in front of me. So I ask the angels to protect me immediately when I get in my car. And then when I get wherever I'm going, I thank them. Thank you for getting me here safely. I mean, no joke. And so that gratitude in the littlest ways, or when I'm looking for my keys and then I get a nudge to pick up that sweater that was just there for some weird reason, and lo and behold, my keys are underneath it, I just say thank you. Because I do feel it's the angels nudging me to pick up that sweater, which I otherwise wouldn't. I'd just be running around the house trying to find my keys. So don't you find that a lot of it is the, you know, kind of the listening, the acknowledgement of the gift of the angel, and the gratitude?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And the more that we thank them, the more they want to do for us. They're just like us. They're like, oh, like I am so about thank you, thank you, thank you all the time.
Yeah.
I even like to, if you'd like to manifest while you sleep, I can give you a tool for that.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So if you'd like that, what you do is before you go to bed, with your eyes closed and you're just relaxing, you can say, "Hey, God, Spirit, angels, anybody that can hear my voice right now, I would love the answer to this question." And you come with one
Yes.
question, and you ask the question, and you say, "And please give me the answer to this question in the form of a dream.
Oh,
Please give the answer to me in the form of a dream." And then you ask the question. And then after you ask the question, you say, "I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that you gave me this answer in the form of a dream tonight. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for all you do. Thank you for keeping me alive. This is your chance to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you." And then so it is, amen, however you like to end your prayers. And then as soon as you complete that, say out loud or in your head, "I will remember my dreams, I'll remember my dreams, I'll remember my dreams, I'll remember my dreams, I'll remember my dreams." Because when I started this process, I did not remember my dreams. So say that at least 50 times. "I'll remember my dreams. I'll remember my dreams." I like to say it until I fade off to sleep. "I'll remember my dreams. I'll remember my dreams. I'll remember my dreams." And then I fade off to sleep. That's when you want to have that journal handy right by the bed. Because the second that you wake up, write down what your dream was that night. And sometimes it'll be crystal clear. There's the answer. Sometimes you'll write down stuff and you'll be like, "I don't know what any of this means." But if you take it to someone else who's not in your stuff, they're not caught up in your story or your drama, and you say, "I had this dream last night. What does it mean to you?" And you have them interpret it, it'll be the answer. It'll
you
be
know what I've done is also, again, maybe being a musician or something, or just a human who loves music. I will sometimes have a question, or maybe I'm really actually just going through a hard time. I may not even do be as formal as you are or as clear, but I will often wake up to a song. I mean, like I'll hear the melody and then it'll be like, wait, what? Sometimes it's like, oh yeah, that song, the lyrics are the message, are the answer for me, the answer. And I'm telling you, Keith, sometimes it's been songs that I didn't even know. So it's not like a song I knew.
yeah,
I'd have to Google it and then and look at the lyrics and be like, wow, be some song from the 20s or
yeah,
some, but all the, or some song from James Taylor or something that has the message for me. Isn't that cool? But
yeah,
guys, you might hear just like even a few notes, but realize like you may just say, oh, that's a cool song, but that could actually be, it's a really effective way to get a message. So if you hear those, few notes or something, just be like, whoa, that is, a Beatles song or whatever, but Google the lyrics and see if it does give you a message that is relevant to your life at that moment.
yes. And I've even those answers have even come through as a song, as an original song through
Well,
me.
by the way, can I know we have like 10 minutes left, and so I want to ask you if you have a song near you in your heart that you would like to do for us, because I know that's another one of your awesome things. And while you're getting it ready, I also just want to say we were talking about the gratitude, and it made me think of it when you were talking about the Eckhart Tolle thing. And I just thought that we're in a place at this point where we really move when we get an answer from our angels, that we can also ask and know in our heart that we want it to be win-win-win. No one is, with our answer, with our gift from the angels, with our next direction, it's all about it wins for the other person. Like let's say we're in a conflict or that it's win for everybody, win-win-win on all sides. And we can kind of put that in our prayer too, or our question, like, angels, please bring it so that that person's lifted up as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a part of me that knows the answer to every question before I ask it. And There's a part of you that knows the answer to every question before you ask it. 'Cause we are one. We are one. We are one, and we know what to do. And there's a part of me that knows what to say before I open my mouth to speak. And there's a part of you that knows what to say before you open your mouth to speak. 'Cause we are one. We are one. We are one, and we know what to say. We are one. We are one. We are one, and we know what to do.
Ah, thank you for that. Keith, that's very, very true. Thank you so much for that. One thing I do want to mention when you were talking about, again, the silence, I think that's so, again, gosh, again, I was so, how do I say this? Like, I was listening to your process and I was thinking, I wish I could do that. I was like, I don't want to feel left out, but it's like, that's so incredible. And then I was remembering a silent retreat, and believe it or not, for people who know me, they know I'm very chatty. I can definitely chat with the best of them. And you would all be amazed to know that I absolutely love silent retreats. And when I lived in Marin County above San Francisco, I was part of one of the singers and all that with Unity in Marin, and we would sometimes have silent retreats at a place called Dominican College, which is very, very powerful in the redwoods, and it's also, just with many sacred people would be there, and they had huts and different like crazy cool places to just hang out and be quiet. And we were quiet for 24 hours, or sort of, a day and a half actually. And while I was there, I ended up luckily having a journal with me, and I wrote some incredible things that ended up being very powerful for me. They were declarations. One of the things that came to me was I was in kind of a mucky time. It was one of my least attractive times in my life, I have to say. I was sort of for me-ish. I was sort of I just thought everything sucked. I knew everything intellectually because I've lived so much love and peace and brotherhood and sisterhood and the highest spiritual stuff for so long. And this was just I guess, another one of those dark nights of the soul. And all of this came to me in a declaration about how I wanted to speak, how I wanted to live my life, how I wanted to bring myself up, because I just knew that I was my own worst enemy at the time. Mm-hmm. And it was like, how do I pull myself up out of this tar and muck? And it really worked. And it's something that I read, and then people wanted me to publish it and have it, everybody wanted to have it for themselves because they had their own issues. So again, I'm reminding myself as I'm telling you guys this, that we need to do the silence more. I mean, you don't use the word need very often, but this is one of the times where I will say it. And Keith, I want to let you know that this has been so amazing, and we have 4 minutes left, and I want you to maybe play us out too, but I want to make sure that that people
can I
know
share something?
about. Yeah, please do.
Yeah, I want to share something. So this book is my life story, and how many times angels have showed up and literally saved my life 8 times. Like, I should not even be on the planet. I've seen time reversed to keep me on the planet, and I was like, why do they keep saving me? And in my early 20s, I got my answer, and an earthbound angel came to me and shared all my whys, why I was here. So this book is going to already help you raise your vibration. It's already going to give you a tool. But the good news is that when you go to buy the book at walkingwithmyangelsbook.com, walkingwithmyangelsbook.com, you'll go, and it'll allow you to go over to Amazon, get the book however you'd like, Kindle, softcover, audio, however you like it. And then you come back and you put your order number in, and then you will receive over $1,600 worth of incredible bonuses, which are tools. One is a video where I'll give you some more ways to do what you're talking about, Sunny, right? And also people that endorsed this book, who are great mentors of mine, they also gave free gifts. And so I didn't want you to just have the book and the 1 or 2 tools that I shared, because it's mostly my life story that's opening you up to being willing and ready to accept, right? That's what the book is. So now you'll also have the tools that are going to help you to do it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So I didn't want to just give you a book. I wanted to give you tools that would support you in what you learn from the book and the opening that happens from reading it. So I just wanted to share that before we let it off.
Thank you. And so that is really, probably you would say, I mean, if I were to ask you, how do people get in touch with you? I mean, that's what you'd most prefer them to do, is go and receive the book, receive all of these amazing tools, and then they can go to your website.
Yeah,
is that
if you go
cool?
to Beyond Belief Publishing, beyondbeliefpublishing.com, and that'll tell you all about the book and about me, and show you all the programs and products and everything that we have to support you as well.
Fantastic. And Myrna, I know you're standing by, because I know, gosh, I can't believe it, Keith. We're almost at the end of our time. I think we have like 2 more minutes. So I know it went so fast. And yeah, so I know you want to have people know how to get in touch with me, and you guys know you can see me next week here. You can email me with questions or concerns or just ideas at sunny@let'simagine.live, and on Solutionary Sundays on ABC, and also articles on in Whole Life Times. And you could just Google my name, and a bunch of shows come up, and you can just put in me and a bunch of cool people, and it'll probably come up. And Myrna, I want to also wish you a happy Dia de los Muertos to all of our people. And do we have time to have you do your thing and then have Keith play us out? Or can he play underneath your chatting? Because I know you have to do some.
Well, this is what I'm proposing, and of course you guys can agree or not. But what I would do is just say thank you to you and to our audience for being here, for letting the Mindalia cameras be a channel for your ideas, and remembering our audience that they can like also Mindalia Televisión for videos in Spanish, and Mindalia Televisao for videos in Portuguese, and we just let Keith take the screen. How does that sound?
Sounds great. And Keith, you can play us out, and if you want us to sing along with you or whatever, let us know, and we'll just give you the stage, and kind of like that. And thank you so much, Keith, by the way, I do want to say. And I also want to say to all the people, because this is Halloween, All Saints Day, Dia de los Muertos, let us honor our ancestors, and like Keith says, know that they're always with us, even though it's so sad that we don't get to play with them the way we used to. Just let's keep them alive, and let's recuerda. How do you say, recuerda me means remember me, so recuerda all the people. Recuerda me is remember me, but how do we say remember our ancestors?
Well, it will be to recordar nuestros ancestros, recordar a nuestros seres queridos que ya no están.
Beautiful. So, like Myrna said.
What she
and
said.
Keith, thank you again so much. I've enjoyed it so much. And so, yes, the stage is yours. The microphone is yours.
Well, I think I'm not sure we have time for the whole song, so I'm going to do the chorus. and you'll sing the
Okay.
chorus with me. And this is really, we do for a whole
Okay,
song?
like we have like 2 minutes, right? We have like 2 minutes.
About
Okay,
3?
3 minutes.
Okay. Well, I sat and asked the question, like all those questions. Why am I here? And where is God? Really, that was the question. And so I heard a voice, still small voice. You might call it an angel. I do. And this is what he told me. He said, God is here. God is here. No matter where I am, God is here.
Nice.
God is here. God
is here.
No matter where I am, God is here. Now I see God everywhere, a little more each day. I see God in the flowers and in the bills that I choose to pay. I'm feeling God in my breath. I knew that'd get you. Spoken with each word. Oh, I'm feeling God breathe His life into me. Let God's love be unfurled. Everybody sing. God is here. God is here. No matter where I am, God is here. God is here. Right with you. God is here as you no matter where I am, God is here. Sing it again. Oh, God is here. Close within your breath. God is here. No matter where I am, God is here. God is here. God is here. No matter where I am, God is here. God is here.
Oh,